Okay, Willis, so we're going to talk about how to find stems and then which tenses come from them. And then the last thing we're going to talk about is how to form those tenses. So, as I told you, verbs have four principal parts. So let's take a friendly verb, amo, amare, amawi, amatus. Again, those are the long marks you'll typically see. This is a first conjugation verb. Again, you're going to have to determine from your teacher which long marks, which macrons he or she requires. I focus only on the endings for the most part, but if your teacher requires more than that, you're going to have to do some more memorization just to determine which are long and short vowels. But so as I told you before, you only need the first two principal parts to determine the conjugation. So the first two principal parts, just like the nominative and genitive for nouns, the first two principal parts will tell you the declension. Oh, sorry, I did it. The conjugation of the verb. You need all four principal parts to form different stems. And for the purposes of this exercise, we're just going to talk about what's called the present and the perfect stem. There's one other, but again, you'll see that later. So the present stem is you go to the second form. So just like with nouns, to find the stem, you count to two, you go to the second form, and you remove the RE. So you leave that A there. So all present stems of regular verbs end in a vowel. So the present stem of this verb is ama. And from that present stem, you will form the present tense. You will form the imperfect tense, which you have probably seen. It's the one that has the BA in it. And then you will form the future tense, which you will probably learn this year. So you need that present stem to form those three tenses. From the third principal part, you form what's called the perfect stem, and you take the I off of the third principal part. So the perfect stem, in this case, is amav, amav. The V is pronounced like a W, but amav, if you're thinking about spelling. And for that tense, you are going to create, for that stem, you're going to create the perfect, the pluperfect, and the future perfect. And my understanding is that right now the focus is for you to be familiar with the present, the imperfect, and the perfect. If there's other tenses you need to be familiar with, especially sometimes the pluperfect is introduced early, it's just a plug and play with endings, so it's pretty straightforward. So those are the two stems you're going to need, the present and the perfect. The most important thing is just never do anything with the first form. The first principal part, it already has an ending, so it will not give you as much information as you need. You need to go to the infinitive to determine what this vowel is going to be. That's the important thing, because that's the vowel that's going to show up before the endings. Just to give you a sense of how to translate these three tenses, and then we'll talk about how to form them in a second. The present tense is just, straight up verb, verbs, am verbing, am, is, or are verbing. So it's something that's happening today. So that's pretty straightforward. The imperfect tense is typically translated was verbing, and it's one of the two past tenses, imperfect and perfect, that you probably are expected to know. And they both happen in the past, but the imperfect happens over a period of time, whereas the perfect tense is just translated verbed. It's kind of quick and done with. So an example I often give of the two is, I was walking. So that's talking about the process of walking. I'm doing the walking, and then I tripped. The tripping happens quickly, it's done, and it's over with. So I was walking, that's imperfect, over a period of time, something that extends, and then I tripped, that's perfect, that is fast, and it's just typically just translated verbed. If you have to give a helping verb for the perfect, it's either has or have verbed. But I typically just say start with just verbed and take it from there.